I'm joined by Mark Heylmun from Suicide Silence, mate. You are the most animated person that has turned up on camera thus far. How has lockdown been for you, mate?
Well, I mean, I guess the answer to why I'm so animated is I'm used to being in front of these cameras now. I'm always looking at my screen time is through the roof. Yeah, lockdown, dude. I've been live streaming. I've been just trying to put out cool shit to the internet because everyone's just leaning on the internet so hard. Imagine if it was the 80s. What the fuck would we be doing right now if there was we'd be stuck, or even just the 90s, really. You know? We'd be fucked. But I wish I could say that the lockdown bothered me, but in all reality, I've been super productive and playing a hell of a lot of guitar and trying to turn fucking lemons into fucking lemonade and vodka.
So you're live streaming. Are you on Twitch then?
No, I haven't done Twitch. I started a Patreon. So I stream for my Patreon. And yeah, just like have fun with it, put together a set list. I've been writing all these like really silly songs with members of my Patreon, playing songs that are like, I wrote a song that's 100% pick scrapes and dive bombs. and it's just a silly song. And then I sent it to a friend of mine that's like a classical jazz composer. And then he put all these crazy chords all over it and turned it into something completely different. I've been having fun.
That is sick. I'll tell you what, man. I'll put in the description below, like you'll find Mark's Patreon, so you can get involved with this kind of thing. I guess we should probably talk about Become the Hunter, because you'd only just launched it when all of this kind of went on. This is for a band that have had some important moments in their career. This record was an important moment for you, I think, even more so than ever before. Is that fair?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, for anybody that's watching this that doesn't know, it's like, yeah, we took a hard departure and went down a very experimental route on our last record, which, yeah, I'm grateful for anybody that supported it and liked that record, but it was definitely a polarizing record. You either loved it or you fucking hated it. So coming back from a record that was like that, it was just like, all right, like let's reach in this toolbox of what we know how to do, and let's make sure that every single thing that we're pulling out of this is exactly the tool we need to be using. But I also kind of think that because we knew what it was when we were coming to the table to write, everybody was coming with the best stuff that they've ever really came with, and I'm the most proud of this record because I think like compositionally, like the songs are fucking like real. I feel like we did a good job on them, and then it's just some of the best riffs and catchiest vocals we've ever written. And yeah, we got kicked in the proverbial nuts by the pandemic because we were about to literally do a full world tour this year.
So how do you view the self-titled today? Because the last time I spoke to you guys I spoke to Eddie just as that record was dropping, man. And like something that I really admired about your outlook, your stance, and your stance on the touring for that record was you really, really, truly 100% seem to fully believe in it. And I wondered what your relationship is with that record in 2020 as you look back at that time and how you view that art that you made.
Well, I have more opinions on what would have made it maybe a little bit more commercially viable, but it's kind of like hindsight is 2020 kind of deal. And I feel like where we were in our careers and going into that record, it was exactly what we needed to do. And there's a certain amount of artistic satisfaction when it's like you ignore what the expectations are and you do something that is 100% like experimental, avant, and almost instead of going towards the satisfaction of anything, you go towards 100% the satisfaction of the core of the band and everyone in the band. And usually the way that we would be writing music, like it's kind of, we all were thinking about is this going to be what the fans want? and that is a good tool to have as a band, obviously, when you are fortunate enough to have a fan base to try and satisfy. But when you do that for 5 records, once it gets to that point, you're like, let's just do something and 100% not even think about what people are going to think about it. And when we accomplished that, when we did that, and we really immersed ourselves in that, there was this, we felt amazing about it. We felt so good about it. And still, I can listen to that record and really like it. And I think that one of the main things that would have maybe perked the ears a little bit more is, one, if we would have done a more modern production to it and it didn't sound like it was from the 90s and sound like it was live, I think people would have given it a little bit more of a chance. But I mean, who am I to say? Like, it's I understand we are known for something, and when I think we've used this metaphor before. It's like if we're a pizza place and you call and you want to order your favorite pizza from this pizza place you love, and then what shows up is Chinese food, you're going to be like, what the fuck is this shit? So I get it.
Well, the thing is, I don't want to put you on the back foot, Mark, because no artist should ever apologize or be on the back foot about their art, right? This is my take, my words, and not putting the words in any of your mouths. But we had Rob Flynn on the show earlier on, and they're kind of in a moment like that at the moment. So it's difficult for me to watch how people turned on your band when I think of all of the brilliant records that people loved you for before it, regardless of whether they liked the self-titled or not. So I guess the question I'm asking, did you feel a bit hard done by?
In a way, yeah. I definitely feel like it's hard not to take it personal to an extent when it's something that you did put your heart and soul into, and then but I still can step away from it and look at it from an outside perspective 100% and think about my relationship and how I'm a fucking metalhead, dude. And I was like, I've been a metalhead, metal kid since I was young. So if I was on the other end of this, I 100% can see how I would probably be one of those people that it's like, if my favorite band took a hardcore departure, I might be like, you know what, that record fucking sucks. But I'm also not the kind of person that's going to go on the internet and fucking make memes about it. So there's a difference about that, but it's a different time. We live in a 100% different era of music, and metal is a nostalgic genre, like we want our metal to remind us of something that whatever that energy, like let's just say The Cleansing for us, like people, if they listen to The Cleansing as their first record, or maybe our third record, Black Crown as their first record, like they want to listen to our music and have this nostalgia of whatever it was that they first heard of us. So like that's, and I understand that too. I mean, that's how I relate to a lot of my favorite bands. If Cannibal Corpse puts out a new record, I want to be reminded of the Bleeding, right. So I 100% get it. And I it's almost like I have sympathy for the people that hated it. It's like, hey man, I'm not apologizing for what I did, but yet this one wasn't for you. Like, I recognize it.
Well, I wanted to, like, I don't want you to speak on behalf of him, but like Eddie's got his reasons for staying away from the press these days, and I don't blame him. But did Eddie take it particularly hard? Because when you say the meme stuff and all the rest of it, the Tee stuff that was coming out and all the rest of it, did Eddie take it really difficult?
I would say we all took it as best as we can, minus Alex getting drunk and talking shit on the internet one time, which I thought was pretty funny. But I feel like we all took it pretty well, because we were prepared that it was like, all right, if people 100% don't like this, we have to be able to play this hand. We have to, we chose to do it. But I mean, yeah, I think that it goes deeper with Eddie. He may have taken it a little harder, But in all, I still feel like he learned a lot from the situation. And, if I don't want to word it wrong. Like, I don't want to make it sound like, hey man, Eddie's a better singer than people say that he is. But the way that we produced that record, it was almost like there was this intention to make it so that when you heard it, it wasn't like he was trying to be this polished auto-tuned singer. There was an intention behind it. And I don't, and again, like I have a hard time saying, because I don't want to be like, hey, you guys just didn't get it. I don't want to sound like that. I don't want to sound like that. But at the same time, there was a lot more intention put into that record than I think people thought. And I think a lot of people kind of thought we were trying to go more commercial or make a radio record, which it was like so far from that. Like we were making, we really did. We tried to make something that was like, we want fucking people to hear this and feel uncomfortable. And
with the best of respects, right? If you're going to do a record like that, like calling Ross Robinson is like calling Dario Argento to make a blockbuster movie, right? And just for my personal taste, because I love Ross, right? And I love a lot of what Ross has done, and I know Ross means it so much. But to my ears, like, again, just my take, I don't think Ross's production job got the most out of the talent that Eddie is. But that's just my take. The reason why I wanted to talk about the self-titled, though, is because it sets the scene for a new record. Because when you're put in a position like that, and you've gone through what you've gone through, when it comes to writing a new record, I really enjoyed that there is still experimental stuff on here, because it means that Suicide Silence didn't tuck their tail between their legs and start writing records just for the masses because that's what they want. You're not McDonald's, you're not serving hamburgers, you're artists writing art. And I was glad that was it important to keep some experimental stuff in there, almost as validation for being an experimental band, not just a band doing You Only Live Once again and again.
Right. I think that it happens naturally. I think that I feel like we still, when we approach a record, there is certain things that we want to put into the record and make sure that where we are as artists, or as where we are as artists. Sometimes calling yourself an artist is so funny. But
it's my fault. I've opened that door. Sorry, Mark.
It's okay. I feel like it happens naturally, and the songs that are on Become the Hunter that still hold that experimental flame, those were the songs that took the least amount of work and the least amount of thought. And I feel like when it comes to us as a deathcore, death metal band and the extreme sides of our music, that takes more work for us because we've been doing it. We've done it so much that we are so much more particular with what is heavy and what is brutal and what is that, maybe what people expect of Suicide Silence, what that sound is. That takes more work for us than the experimental stuff, because if we're in a room together and all of a sudden Garza starts playing a riff that he's never played before, and I'm like, oh, I like that riff, what if we do this? And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, we're like falling down this 100%, like everybody's putting in these kind of new ideas. Usually we're like, wow, that's never happened before. These are new sounds. And we're really happy with the way that things kind of come together. Like the Scythe, Serene Obscene, Skin Tight, all those songs were written in a day's time, like if that. It was like, all right, music is done for that. That just fell out of us. That felt great. Same thing with songs like, off of No Time to Bleed, like Disengage to us was semi-experimental. Like it was more ambient and had this different vibe to it. That song was written in like 45 minutes. Like, so that there's this, sometimes this odd groove that we get in that's what we're always looking for. Yeah. And maybe self-titled, where we were at that point, was kind of, we were looking for that feeling all the time, which was, it's a hard thing to find.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, right, that AC/DC life ain't for everyone. Like, I can listen to 50 AC/DC records. I love the sound of AC/DC. Like, I never want them to. Right. I don't. I literally, I don't want to have a dub drop in the middle of an AC/DC song. Right? But like, that's who they are, and that's what they do, and good for them. But for you guys, I understand if it's like, right. I mean, I had this conversation with Winston from Parkway Drive a couple of weeks ago. Once you've done like a thing for long enough, it's like what? Like it must. Like, I'm not putting on my clown makeup to go out in front of you. Like, I've got to do something else. Otherwise, I'm just, this becomes a job.
Yeah, well, and I feel like doing something and making that departure, it really does affirm what you are all about as a band as well. Because like once we were done with Self-Titled and we did the cycle and obviously saw the reaction, talked to numerous people from fans to press, everybody, you obviously you're acquiring new knowledge of what it is that your band, like how you are conveyed, like what people are thinking about it. So like once it was done, it was like, hell yeah. Like, in all reality, I'm super happy with the way that it all worked out. That's like, it's strange to say. I'm happy that is how it was, because I feel like it resulted in this new fire that came to us to write Become the Hunter. And then we didn't even really we wrote like 20 songs for Become the Hunter, which normally we only write like 14, and then 11 of them are on the record or whatever it ends up being. Like, we were so fired up that we just had ideas after ideas after ideas. And I mean, I feel like you learn most from, calling from pretty much any way you look at it, the Self-Titled record, people would consider it like a commercial failure. So like, yeah. I can 100% say, it's like we learned the most from, our most failed, go at a record. So
yeah. I mean, well, to kind of take it completely out of the walls of metal, like everyone said that about Green Day when they did Warning, and the next record was American Idiot. Go figure. Right. So I guess I've got to talk about you yourself as well. Like, you had a departure for a little while. In the middle of all this chaos. How do you view it now? And like, necessary?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would, maybe or maybe you don't. I wasn't speaking about exactly why I took a departure, but so Self-Titled record came out February of 2017. January 3rd of 2017, my dad had a stroke, and we found out that he had metastasized cancer. And I basically kept that real low key and didn't talk about this with pretty much anybody unless they were really close to me. And I toured and I did my best to maintain. We had this record come out, and it was obviously the reaction was what it was. And it was a lot for me to deal with. And I kind of chose to give my family the attention rather than do a lot of press, and rather than, there was a lot of things with the band that I just wasn't able to focus on 100%. So when it came to the end of 2018, it had been basically a full 2 years, and we had just got done with the Cleansing tour, the anniversary tour. And I just felt like I had to make this decision. Am I gonna continue on trying to split my life between band, which is normally 110, 50 million, 1,000%? That's what I'm in. That's what I'm doing. Or am I going to try to kind of play this balancing act? And yeah, I mean, my dad was dying, I didn't want to put it out there, because he's also someone that will be reading metal news. And if I'm saying, hey, I'm taking a break from the band because my dad's dying, I didn't want to put that guilt on him,
Of course.
So I took that break quietly and let everybody assume whatever, it is what it is with the record's not doing good and he wants to take a break. Like, that's fine. Like, I cared more about my family and my personal situation at the time.
Yeah.
So I stayed at home with my dad, and he passed away last November, while we were writing Become the Hunter. So, I mean, it was 100% necessary, and something that I'm more vocal about right now, and talking about, what was going on at that time. Cause yeah, it's either the band has been, that's what I do. This is all I do. I'm 100%, guitar player of Suicide Silence. And when this came about, it was the first time in my life where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go on tour. I don't want to do pretty much a lot of the stuff that is taking me away from being able to spend time with my dad. So
is it, I mean, it's got to be kind of bittersweet in 2020 that you've got this record that you're clearly very proud of, and you're going to, like, when this bloody world starts turning again, you are going to get to play it for us all. Yeah. How does it feel to be where you are now, given what's happened with yourself and Suicide Silence? Because it is, like, to see you happy, mate, like, despite all of that, like, is a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah, well, the extremely, fortunate thing about the whole situation is we finished Become the Hunter in the beginning of summer of 2019, and it was mixed and it was finished September, October, but there was just a couple things that prevented us from getting it out that year. So I got to listen to it with my dad, show him that record, work on my dad was a guitar player. My dad was a jazz guitar player. So I got to show him all this stuff, and my he listened to it and he's like, yeah, you guys did it again. He's like, that's an unnerving record. so everything feels as it should be, and of course it sucks that we're in a pandemic and we haven't been able to start touring or anything like that. But the amount of being able to be at home and practicing and learning new stuff on guitar, writing new riffs, and at the same time, just kind of, I mean, it's practicing patience and letting things fall as they are, and not getting completely knocked over by it, and just kind of planning for the future and figuring out what I mean, we wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for everything that's going on right now. Yep. And yeah, I mean, I'm super stoked about the record, and really, once it all starts going again, it's going to be sweet to be able to actually go play new music. Like, we haven't even, like, that's something I'm just looking forward to. Like, we got new music we can go play. Like, that's
And Mark, like, we're going to show this 2015 show from June 2015 in OC on Friday on notfest.com. Mate, thanks so much for your time. And on a personal level, it is wonderful to see you happy, mate. Love it.
Thank you, Bees. Yeah, you too, man. Like I said before we started, I appreciate your energy. I've missed it. You're great all the time. You kill it, dude. So, thank you.
Don't go anywhere just yet. So, after we did this interview, Mark pointed out that Suicide Silence have now announced their virtual world tour. Basically, what this is that they are going to play a full production live show. You can buy tickets for it in your region. So dates are as followed. I'm definitely reading this off of a computer screen, so bear with me. Thursday, July the 2nd in New York. Friday, July the 3rd in Boston and LA. Sunday, July 5th in Norfolk and Las Vegas. Monday, July 6th in London and Baltimore. Wednesday, July the 8th in Atlanta and Phoenix. Thursday, the 9th of July, it's Stuttgart in Germany and Santiago, Chile. And Saturday, July the 11th, the tour will end in Chicago, Illinois. Okay, those are the dates. You can get tickets. Check them in the description below. But here is Mark to tell you everything about just what goes into a Suicide Silence virtual world tour. So, explain to me what a virtual tour is, Mark.
Okay, so this virtual tour, we figured out how to make it so that in our web store, we can sell geo-fenced, meaning where you live depends on which ticket you can buy. So if you live in London, we have a show that we're going to be streaming just for England, basically, not just London. If let's say it's going to say Stuttgart, Germany, but if you live in Germany, you're the only person that can buy that ticket. Right. And we're doing a complete, like, world tour. We're making up every show that we missed for the US. We're doing South America, a lot of Europe, Asia. It's 39 shows, and not only is it a concert with full-on production, we've got sick lights, we've got this whole stage set. We imagine like sketch comedy, Suicide Silence. We made all these skits. We have fake sponsors. We've got it's hilarious. And then also it's a fully like integrated Q&A session. It's going to be like an hour and a half stream each one. We can actually video call in people. We'll have moderators in the chat so you can interact with us while it's all happening. It's going to be fucking badass. Like we put so much energy into this, and we've watched what people do for their streams, and not knocking anybody's streams from their bedrooms. Like I'm doing that on my Patreon, but like, yeah. You know, we are renting a full-on sound stage, and we're going to bring an experience that is above and beyond what I've seen anybody else do yet, except for Fever 333. I saw their stream. That was fucking badass.
Oh, but, yeah.
So again, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm seeing what everybody's doing, and we're just trying to contribute to this, like, you know, where we are right now as an industry, and like how we can bring entertainment to people. And yeah, I mean, we're announcing it. It should be announced. I mean, I don't know when this is airing, probably right before the interview or the show.
Yeah, more than likely.
It should be announced, so we should have a link right below here for anybody to go check it out.
Yes, yeah. I'll put it in there. And I've got to ask, so when you go to England, did any of you try and do a horrific English accent? Because I get a lot of that here.
No, maybe when we first went over there, yeah. Maybe if we were in Liverpool, we try and talk like a Beatle, you know.